Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's me, Camaro, with Dying to DIY. For today's video, I have 10 red truck themed crafts to share with you all. So exciting, yes, 10. So we have a lot to get through and I'm definitely eager to share those all with you guys. But before I do, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and bell notification though so you don't miss out on future videos. Let's go. Okay, so this first craft is going to be really quick and easy and fairly simple, but I just love the way that these ones turn out. So I took this hand-me-down frame that my mom gave me and I gave it 3 coats of this white chalk paint from Kills. And then once I had time to dry, I just went in with this 80 grit sandpaper and just lightly scuffed up the edges, gave it some distressed marks. I just personally like that look. Next, I'm going to be going in with this $1 placemat from Dollar General, and I'm going to cut it to fit the size of the frame. I had originally planned on keeping some of that red and black buffalo check pattern, but as I kept trimming and cutting off the edges, it ended up being too small for the frame and it was starting to fall through. So I had to just get some white poster board, and then I cut that to fit the size of the frame and then put it on the back of the placemat. It ended up actually working really well and in my favor because it kind of made the placemat a little bit more sturdy, and I actually ended up liking it a lot more without the red and black buffalo check pattern on the top and the bottom. So then I just went in with some hot glue just to make sure everything was nice and in place, and then I just had to put it in the back of the frame and push down those prongs. So I definitely could have left it as is, but I definitely wanted to spice it up a little bit more, so I went in and made a cute little crisscross bow to add to the top corner. To make these crisscross bows, it's just about picking the ribbons that you want to use and then laying them on top of each other in an X type of pattern, and then you can just go ahead and add some jute twine to the middle and tie it off, and voila, then you're done. Okay, so I just needed to add some hot glue to the bow, and then I cut little slants on the edges of the ribbon, and it was done! So cute! I really love these little crisscross bows, and then you just add the placemat to a frame, and it's, becomes the perfect wall decor. Okay, for the second project, it's basically the same idea, just using a Christmas card instead. So I found this cute little red truck themed Christmas card from Dollar Tree. Went ahead and just added it to the frame, and like I had said before, I could have just left it as is, but of course I did want to add a bow to this one as well. So I'll be using one of these cute bows from Dollar General and then a couple of these pine cones from Dollar Tree. I didn't really like the way that the bow was so flat and it just had no dimension to it, so I ended up taking it apart and re-gluing it back together just to make it a little bit more fuller. And for an added extra touch, I just added a little snow-flocked pine cone, and this one was all done. So quick and easy, so simple, but seriously so cute. I love that bow also, just with the snow-flocked pine cones, so adorable. Alright, on to the third project. I'm again going to be using a placemat from Dollar General. This is more of a cotton, like burlappy placemat, so it is going to make the perfect pillow. So I just went in with my X-Acto knife and cut a slit down the side that was big enough to get my hand and the fluff through there easily, and I just stuffed it until I felt it was nice and full. Once it was nice and plump, the last thing for me to do was to just close up the edges, and I did that with a little bit of hot glue. Alright, and here is how that pillow turned out. How adorable! I love it so much better as a pillow rather than a placemat. And for only $2, you cannot go wrong. So cute. Alright, we are cruising along here on to the fourth red truck project. I'm going to be using this hanging red truck from Family Dollar that I got last year after Christmas, and then I will also be using a splatter screen from Dollar Tree as well. My first step was to go ahead and take off that metal hanger because we don't really need it anymore. Next, I'm going to be going in with some Mod Podge, and I'm just going to be adding it in increments all over to the splatter screen, and then adding some faux snow on top just to give it a really cool and cute snowy effect. Also, quick shout out to Shayna with Robinson Repurposing. I will definitely leave her YouTube and Instagram account links in the description box down below because she is the great mastermind behind all of these splatter screen crafts that you're seeing everybody do. So, thank you, Shayna. You are awesome! So my next step was to just attach the red truck to the splatter screen and make it nice and secure. So I did that using a mix of hot glue, and then I went in with this floral wire as well. I decided to attach the floral wire right by the wheel, so that way you weren't able to see it. I also could have attached it on the holes from where the metal hanger was, but I didn't really think of that until after I had made these. So I attached it by the wheel, and it was nice and sturdy, so I can't complain there. My next step was to go in with some hot glue and then these little mini foam, like styrofoam balls. I just wanted to add to that snowy effect. So I just like drizzled the hot glue and then I threw the little balls on there and then I just tapped it, and whatever fell off, those ones fell off, and you know, so be it. Of course, I had to go in and embellish it with a cute little bow. This bow is from Family Dollar, and it was really nice because it had a nice little twisty tie on the back, so I just pushed those through the splatter screen, twisted them on the back, and added some hot glue so it was nice and secure. Next, I just had to make a hanger for the splatter screen, and I did that using the floral wire and some jute twine. So I added the floral wire through the top by the rim so you couldn't see it. Then I took my jute twine and I made a little knot at the ends, and then I twisted that floral wire around the knot, added some hot glue, and everything was nice and secure. Alright, and here's how this one turned out. I absolutely love this one. It is great for indoor or outdoor use. Honestly, I just really love decorating on these splatter screens. Such a great idea. The possibilities are so endless. Alright, on to the next craft. I am going to be using this yard pick that I got from Dollar General. I just really love the saying on the front. It says, "Believe in the magic of Christmas." So cute. So I wanted to take this from a yard pick and turn it into either like front door hanging decor or just basic wall decor. So I just measured out a couple of dots at the top, and then I took my drill to turn those into a couple of holes. I then took my jute twine and threaded it from the back to the front and added a chunky knot. I then kind of eyeballed the length that I wanted the hanger to be, and then I just cut it so that way I could thread the natural colored wood beads onto there. Once I felt that the beaded hanger was long enough, I just went and tied it off the same way that I did the other side. My last step was to just make and add a really cute buffalo plaid bow to go onto the front. Okay, and here is how this one turned out. So cute! Definitely magical. I just love it. Believe in the magic of Christmas. Way too cute. And this is going to be perfect for the front door or just as a decoration piece inside of your house. Next up, I will be working with this little tin tray that I got from Dollar General. It's basically going to be the same as like the yard pick, pretty similar. I'm going to add a beaded hanger on the top and then embellish it with a couple of cute bows, and yeah, and then it's going to be a great front door hanger or wall decor. So like the last project, I just marked a couple of spots and then I used my drill to turn those into holes. I then went in with my jute twine and I went from front to back and then just tied a little knot on the back so that way it was nice and secure while I was adding those wooded beads onto to make the hanger. When I was all done with the beaded hanger, it was time to add the cute little embellishments on the bottom. I chose to go in with this garland from Dollar Tree. I just really thought it added to like the Christmas touch to it, especially since the tin was talking about, you know, farm fresh Christmas trees. So I just thought it would really bring it to the next level. I did go ahead and make two almost identical bows. One is just a little bit bigger than the other. And then I embellished it with those snow flocked pine cones. And here's how it turned out. Way too cute. I really love that double bow embellishment on the bottom, and then you have the added extra character with the mini pine cones and that green garland. Yes, all those things just bring it to the next level. For my next project, I'm going to be using this little mini palette from Dollar Tree, this cute little galvanized ornament from Dollar General. And I'm just going to go ahead and paint that palette using a brown oxide color from Apple Barrel. And then I'm going to use these little stickers that are from Dollar Tree, and I picked out the trees. I was going to paint all 3 white, but I decided to just paint one of them white instead. Next, I went in and used the mini little Jenga blocks, and I painted them in the same color as the palette. Then took a paper towel and just wiped off the excess. That way they can dry easier, faster, quicker. And then you can still see kind of some of that wood grain on there as well. So basically my idea for the Jenga blocks was to make a base for that palette to stand on. So I went in with my E6000 and some hot glue, and I just glued them from end to end, 3 of them from end to end, and then I wanted to glue the 2 flat on their sides on the long side. Once they had time to dry, then I just went in with the E6000 and the hot glue again, and then added that palette on there, like so. After that was done, I just went in with my hot glue and glued the little ornament onto the palette. And then I took those Christmas trees and I kind of glued them in like a 3D type of pattern, so one in front of the other. I then decided to go in with these cute little ornaments, which are from Walmart. I chose the one that said Farm Fresh Trees, way too cute because you already have the little wooden trees on the front, so it just added to the whole theme of it and brought it all together. I ended up making a little miniature wreath using that garland. I used some floral wire to keep the wreath together, but also to be able to string that ornament on there so that everything was nice and stable. Then I just went in with the mini pine cones to embellish that wreath, and here is how that one turned out. Oh, way too cute. I really love the 3D effect. It just gives it some nice character to it, and then the ornament and the wreath just bring it all together. For my next project, I will be making a super cute garland. I'm going to be using those galvanized ornaments from Dollar General again, some burlap from the 99-cent only store, and then these red and black buffalo check pet bandanas that are from Dollar Tree. I'm going to start out by taking out the thicker hems off the sides. I just did not want to use those. I'd rather have the raw hem. So once that was done, I just started cutting strips about an inch thick or so. And I cut these strips all the way until the end, until I felt that the strips were just not even worth it, because I did want some length on those strips, you know what I mean? And then I took the burlap sheet and I cut it in half, and then I also cut the thicker hems off of there as well. I just really wanted these strips to have a raw edge rather than like a super thick edge. So I did the same thing, and I just cut a bunch of strips, and then I ended up cutting those strips in half. So at the end of me cutting the strips, I had way more burlap than I did with the pet bandanas. And I did have more pet bandanas that I could have cut, but I just thought I would be overdoing it. So I really wanted to have more of the burlap on the garland, so I thought it was okay. So when I was making the garland, I tied 2 strips of burlap per 1 strip of the red and black buffalo check pattern. So this garland was super easy to make. I was just taking those strips and tying them in a knot on that jute twine. And I wasn't really worried about the placement because the strips were sliding and gliding left and right on that jute twine really easily. So I was able to move them wherever I needed them to be. Originally, I didn't really have a pattern in mind, but after I tied a couple of them, I did really like the 2 burlap strips and then 1 plaid strip. So that is the pattern that I went ahead with and finished throughout the entire string. Once all my strips were tied onto the string, all I had left to do was add those little metal ornament pieces. I ended up taking the original red and white hangers off of those and adding my own jute twine hangers instead. I just really felt that this step completed the look that I was going for. To attach the ornaments to the string, all I did was add a new hanger and tie that around the garland strand and then tie a little knot at the top. And that was super easy, super simple. And that was it for that craft. Here is how it turned out. Really cute. I really love this like rustic farmhouse look that it has going on. Here in a second I lay that down so you can get a better idea with how it looks with the galvanized truck ornaments on there. Way too cute. This would look great hanging on your mantle, fireplace, maybe strung across a frame. So many possibilities. Okay, on to the 9th red truck project. I'm going to be using these gift boxes from Dollar Tree and this wood sign that I've had for a while now. I'm going to start by trimming off the edges of the box just so it's nice and flat. Next I went in with some Mod Podge. I gave it a really good thick coat on the back and then I added that to the wood board. I made sure to smooth out any bubbles or you know whatnot, just to smooth it across the board, and then I gave it a layer of Mod Podge on the top as well. While I was giving the sign some time to dry, I went in with these little Christmas tree ornaments from Family Dollar and gave them a coat of white chalk paint, and then I decided to make a cute little crisscross bow while those were drying as well. So just like the other crisscross bow I made, I just picked out what ribbon I wanted to use. And then I cut them about, all about the same length, and I just laid them in that X crisscross pattern. I knew I wanted this one to be nice and full, so I added plenty of layers to this one. Once I had all my layers in place, I just grabbed this beige colored jute twine this time and just wrapped it around the center a couple of times just to make it nice and thick, and then tied it off with a knot at the back, and this one was done. Alright, so once everything had time to dry, I just went in with some sandpaper. I sanded down the Christmas trees a little bit, and then I went around the edges of the gift box just to give it a more vintage, distressed look to it. I just personally like this look, and I really love the way it turned out. Once I had everything nice and distressed, I just went ahead and glued on the bow, and then I added a few extra embellishments with the mini pine cones and then a couple of red berries. My last step for this project was to just glue on those little white trees, and I chose to glue them right at the bottom. And here is how this one turned out. Really, really cute. I really am obsessed with that little crisscross bow. It is nice and fluffy and full, and I really cannot get enough of all those distressed marks around the edges. They really just give it that vintage farmhouse feel, and I just love it so much. Alright, we have made it to my 10th and final project. I am going to be using these little wood signs from Dollar Tree. They're the little farmhouse truck. And I started out by staining them in a walnut stain. I stained both sides, but I left the wheels and the Christmas tree in the back plain because I wanted to paint those a different color. So I painted the wheels black, and then I painted the little Christmas trees in the back in that Kills white chalk paint. And I did this the same on both sides. Next, I used these wood planks that are from Dollar Tree as well. I ended up using 4 and giving them all a coat of that walnut stain. Once I had all the planks stained, it was time to construct them to make a little box in between both of those trucks. So for the first plank, I glued it onto the first truck on the side without the door. I glued it so that it was flush with the bottom of the truck just to make sure everything was nice and even. For the second plank, I glued it onto the second truck but on the opposite side. So I glued it onto the side that had the door. I did this because I wanted both of the trucks to be facing the same way. After those pieces were glued on, it was time for me to glue the third plank to make the bottom of the box. Once I had all these pieces glued into place, I needed to measure that fourth plank to see where I needed to cut it in order to make 2 even pieces that would complete the ends of the box. And then I went in with my little Dollar Tree saw and cut them in the places that I marked. Once those pieces were cut, I ended up sanding down the sides a little bit just because they were a little jagged from that saw. And then after that, I glued them into place on the ends of the box. And then my last step to complete the box was to just glue the side with the other truck into position. Okay, and here is the box, nice and complete and put together. Way too cute, you know, just as is. I definitely could have left it like this. But I am all about adding those extra embellishments and characteristics, so I had to add a little farmhouse wreath to it. I made another little wreath out of that garland like I did in the my previous crafts. I used another one of those little ornaments from Walmart, and then of course I glued on some more of those little mini pine cones. Alright, last but not least, we made it to the final look of the 10th and final project for this video. Love, love, love the way it turned out. So excited that the box was able to come together and it looks so good. I'm ready to decorate it and display it on my little sofa table. Alright, and here is one last look at all of them together. All of these cute little red truck / farmhouse trucks, since not all of them are actually red, but you get the idea. I love all of these. They all turned out so good. I could not be happier with them. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video just as much as I enjoyed making all of these crafts. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know which one is your favorite. Which one are you planning on making? Maybe if you've made anything similar, or even if you just want to say hi. I would love to hear from you guys. Also, do not forget to subscribe to my channel if you have not already. Don't want to miss out on future videos. And I know I'm asking for a lot, but if you do get a chance, head on over to my Instagram page or Facebook page. Both of those are Dying to DIY. I have a bunch of really cool stuff posted on both of those pages. Anyways, that is a wrap, you guys. 10 red truck themed crafts. I hope you all have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.